Hello and welcome to the tutorial video on the butterfly effect. So this one's really interesting. The butterfly effect is actually a concept in physics or really in the universe that applies to all sorts of different things. So get ready to have your mind blown. So we're going to start with a video. You'll notice on the worksheet, which of course you should have already downloaded the worksheet and be following along as we're going. If you haven't already done that, stop the video, go do that. Join us when you have this in front of you. So the first one is we're going to watch a video together. How does the video illustrate an idea that a small change can lead to a large effect?
Everybody knows about playing with dominoes, but what you may not know is that a domino can knock over another domino, which is about 1.5 times larger. So what I have here is a chain of dominoes. Each one is 1.5 times larger than the previous one. And the smallest domino is about 5 millimeters high and 1 millimeter thick.
Tiny.
And I will carefully place it.
Yes, use tweezers.
And there are 13 dominoes. And the largest domino, it weighs about 100 pounds and is more than a meter tall.
He just almost threw out his back.
Ready? Boom.
I think he just cracked the floor.
That was 13 dominoes. If I had 29 dominoes, the last domino would be as tall as the Empire State Building.
So, small change. Think about how small that initial domino was, and yet it was able to literally shake the ground when run through a chain reaction. And that's what we're here to talk about today. This video is an example of the butterfly effect, which is when a small change in the initial condition can cause a chain reaction of events, each one that multiplies the effect, so that you end up with a really big difference in the outcome. But in order to really understand this, well, what are we talking about here? We're talking about cause and effect, and in particular, a chain of causality. Most of the time in science, we talk about a single cause, a single effect, because that's the way that we run experiments, right? We want to control everything else, and we're looking at these really tiny relationships. But in reality, most causes can be effects themselves, right? They come from somewhere, and most effects, they can cause something else to happen in this sort of butterfly effect, where one thing doesn't have just one effect. It leads to all sorts of different things happening. So, for example, let's say that the ultimate effect here is that you get an IP in a class, or you fail a class. Why did that happen? Well, maybe the most proximal cause is that you didn't do the final project. Maybe that's why, right? But there's a reason why you didn't do the final project. Why didn't you do the final project? This is where normally I would ask you guys to be filling in the blanks. This activity is more fun when it's in a whole class. But maybe, there's a bunch of different reasons, but maybe you didn't do the final project because you didn't have enough time, right? Oh, I hear this one from students all the time. Oh, I didn't have time to do that big project, Mr. Ben. But why didn't you have time? Right? Why didn't you have time? Maybe it's because there was only a couple of days left in the cycle, right? But how did you make it to the point where you were supposed to do a project in just a couple of days? Oh, it's because you were making up late work instead of joining the class and starting the project where you were. Actually, this one should probably go over here. I'm going to switch that. So this one, making up late work, let's take that and let's put it over here. And this one is going to be that you didn't start on time. And why didn't you start on time? It's because you were making up late work. It's because you were behind from, all sorts of other stuff that you were doing from before, right? So it might look like on the surface, oh, I failed the class because I just didn't do the project and I just didn't have enough time. But in reality, it's deeper than that, right? The reason that you didn't have enough time goes all the way back to decisions that you made, 2 weeks into the cycle. This is just one example of a butterfly effect. Almost every single thing has a reason why it happens. This is what science is based off of. Some things happen for no reason, but most things, there's a reason why they occur. That's what science is based off of, is that every effect has a cause. So now you want to watch the other video that I have posted on Canvas about some historical butterfly effects. We're not going to watch this one together. This is the end of the walkthrough of this particular video. So do that one on your own. Watch the video on Canvas about some historical butterfly effects and pick which one you think was the most interesting. There are a bunch of other examples too that I could throw out there that aren't even in the video, like the guy who invented the internet. He was just making sort of a server where he could talk with his colleagues, and he invented the internet. The guy who invented popsicles, he accidentally left a drink out on his porch overnight, and it froze with the mixer inside, and boom, the next day he had a popsicle. So there are all sorts of different butterfly effects that are peppered throughout history and throughout your own life. The different choices that you make, they matter, and they have different effects. And we're going to bring this back into ecology, and we're going to talk about how what happens to one small part of an ecosystem can actually end up influencing the outcome or the fate of an entire ecosystem. A pertinent example of this is climate change, right? You might think that the individual decisions that you make, paper or plastic, it seems so small and insignificant, but multiplied by billions of people and hundreds of decisions, that one simple choice, it adds up to catastrophe. So go watch this other video. Create a vocabulary ring for the term butterfly effect. Yeah, I know you can't fill this in, so just go in and do it like this, right? What's the definition? What's the picture? What's the translation? And use it in a sentence, right? So yeah, go for it.